Welcome to the Cartoon Club. My name is Jack. In this episode, I'll be showing you how to draw the proportions of a human body. Before this video, I split the page into 8 different lines. These lines are the guidelines we're going to be using to draw the body. Each gap represents one space, one segment of the body, and each one is usually about the size of a head. So there should be 8 heads for the height of a human body. Also in this video, I'll be showing you a front view of how to draw a body and a side view as well. So as we're doing one segment, we'll then move on and do the second segment in the same part. If you can like this video and subscribe and click the bell icon to stay informed of any future videos, that would be great. Also, if you have any more comments on what else to draw, please drop them down in the comments section below. Now on to the first segment. So this video will be split into different chapters. So the first chapter is going to be the first segment we have, and that is the head. So with the head, all we're going to draw is something quite simple just to get the guidelines set. So it's just an oval. This will be the head that we're going to use as our basis for the rest of the body. And then for the other side, we're going to do the same thing, but the head is going to be flatter at the front and it's going to rise up towards the back. This higher part will be where the neck will attach to. It almost looks like a bike helmet. If you're going to ride a motorbike, that'll be the sort of shape you're looking for a side view of the head. Now the second segment will be where the nipples are placed. So the nipples will be down at this lower line here, and it'll also be where the shoulders are going to be placed. So what we'll draw, just so we know where everything is, we're going to draw a line going straight down. This will be where the neck's going to be as well. And then about halfway down, we're going to divide this into 2, and the shoulders will go along this line here. And they're going to be curved down slightly, so it's a bit like a hill. The top point is the peak of the hill. And with the shoulders, you know the edge of each shoulder, because if you turn the head on its side, you'll be able to determine how wide the body is. So the body is usually 2 heads wide at the shoulder. So if you placed your line in the middle, then it should be 3 centimeters from either end. That should be the edge of the shoulder. So I'll just mark those distances away. So that should be the width of the body at the widest point. And then we'll just draw a circle on this point, just to show where the joint is going to be for the shoulder. And then we'll do the same on the other side, but with the other side, the neck is going to curve around. So it's going to start towards the left and curve out towards the right, and then curve back in as it's heading through that next segment, but we'll get to that next segment later on. And we got the same height for our joint. So about halfway down is the top part of the shoulder, and the joint's just slightly lower than that, but it's set forward. About the same width halfway across the face. So that joint goes in there. And this now connects on to the next segment, which is the rest of the rib cage. So the rest of the rib cage ends about halfway down from that next segment. So we'll just mark in where that will go. And the rib cage will start at that highest point of the shoulder where we drew earlier, and then curve around below the line we've just set. Then it will be brought back up and over again. So there's a smaller hill for this middle part, and then that is the rib cage. What we'll do with the nipples as well, the nipples go about the same width of the head as well. So we'll just mark them in, just so we know where they go roughly. So that's the lower part of the rib cage for the body. And also with this segment, this is where the joints of the arms go down to. So this point here on this bottom line is where the elbow joint's going to be. So what we do is we just mark that out. It'll be slightly wider than the joints that we drew up there, just because the arms will naturally go outwards. We'll just mark those lines in. And then we'll just draw a line connecting those 2 lines together. Also, we'll continue that line straight down, because that is still the rest of the spine. Now if we move on to this side, this will also show the rib cage. So we know the rib cage at its lowest point is about 3/4 of the way down. So if we just mark that roughly. And then with that rib cage, we'll continue that rib cage out. It goes about the same distance as the head goes out as well. Curve around at its lowest point, then bring that rib cage together. So it's like a squashed oval shape. With that spine, the spine continues down the back of that rib cage, and then it starts to curve backwards again. So we can see it's going outwards, inwards and outwards. What I'll draw later, I'll draw another line near it just so you can show the main curve that it's creating. And then we'll draw the same joint for the arms, so the same mark. We'll connect that up again. Usually the arm would be straight down as well, but if I create a slight backwards curve, then I'll just create a bit more of a natural hang. This next segment is then where the hip joint's going to be placed, the main pelvis. So with that, we'll just create a large circle going right from the top right to the bottom. So in this point here, the belly button is placed on that top line, and the bottom line of this is where the bottom of the body is. So the bum and the connection between the torso and the legs. It's about the same width as that rib cage, and we don't need that spine anymore because that spine will then end towards the bottom of that segment. And with the arms, we're going to be adding in some lines again. So the joints for the wrists are going to go below the segment, but they're going to go straight down from the last joint that we did. So there's a bit of an outwards taper, but then just a straight line down. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So we're adding our pelvis. So that's just another squashed circle. It's just set back slightly compared to the rib cage. It still follows that top heavy squashed oval shape, and then that's where the spine will then connect to. And we'll draw a line connecting our wrist again. So we'll draw in our joints slightly forward on this one. So the arm's going to naturally go forward. And I'll use a red pen just to show the route that the spine takes. So the spine goes around on that top part, down and around towards that part, and then back out and around for that one. So it's almost like an S sort of shape. And that takes me to the next segment. So the next segment is where the hands are going to be placed. So with the hands, they'll be split into the fingers and the palm. So with the palm goes about halfway out, and it's just a sort of trapezium shaped box, so sort of narrow at the top and wider at the bottom. And that line inside will be where the thumb goes, so that line will be more angled because the thumb's going to connect from there. And then if we sort of roughly show where the hands are going to go, so all the fingers are going to be placed inside this extra segment, and the thumb's going to go there. And we'll just do the same on the other side. So add in that trapezium shape. Remember, flatter on the back, flatter on the outside part, and then the fingers are going to go out again, taper back in. And with the legs as well, there'll be joints towards that last segment. So we'll add in the joints there. And with the legs going through this segment here, they'll travel straight down to the next segment below. So when we get to that next segment, we'll add in the next joint and join those lines together. And onto this side, it's the same thing. So we'll add in the palm. So the palm will be the same width either side now, because we're looking at it side on. And the hands, all the fingers, are going to be added in. The thumb will be hidden behind that hand. Same thing with the joints of the leg, but that joint's going to be at the front of the leg. I'm just going to add that circle behind where the hand is. Now on to the next segments. This will be the 6th segment now. I'm going to add in 2 joints again. This will be where the knees are, so the knees are going at the bottom of this segment. So the knees will be quite big joints, because from this point on the legs have to do a lot of the carrying of the body. So the legs are going to be the longest part and the thickest part. And with the legs, the bones inside are going to go towards the middle. So the legs also almost going to be like a kind of pyramid sort of direction, with it going wider towards inside. So we start at the middle of that joint and then just carry the legs down. And then we'll do the same on the other side. And the other side, the legs are gonna head towards the back now, because it has to balance itself out. So with the knee joint, we're gonna add that in on the vertical line that we set earlier from the face. So straight down, it will be about there. Quite a big joint again. And then we'll just add in a line going from that joint on the pelvis down towards the joint on the leg. Then if we go to the next segment, that's just the main part of the legs. So that'll just be a continuation from what we draw at the bottom. So there's nothing in there apart from the leg bone. So if we move on to the next segment, that would be the final joints that we're adding in. Now we'll place the ankle joint for the leg. So the ankle joint will be almost straight down from the hip joint as well. So if we go wider than the knee joint, slightly, then from that we'll go from the outside of that joint towards the inside again, because naturally the legs are gonna have to bow in to handle the weight of the body. And then while we're here as well, we'll add in just another shape like we did with the hands, just to show where the feet will be placed. Though the heavier the body, the more weight it's going to be placing onto those feet. So the feet are going to squash more out and flow out, the heavier the load is on top. Then if we were to add toes, the toes would be into this bottom segment there. So I'll just add in a quick line for that. And then on this side as well, we're going to skip past that leg joint again and go straight down to the bottom. So with the bottom, the leg's going to go behind that central line. It's going to be more towards the back of the body, because the feet have been designed to stretch out further forward and to carry that extra weight, and that's why the toes usually spread quite a lot. So we'll add in the base of the foot, and then with the leg joint is going to start from the back, leg bone, then it will curve around towards the center of that joint that we drew. From this angle, the toes are going to be at that front bit there, so the foot's going to stretch downwards and then head towards the floor, and the back of the heel is just going to head straight out. So if I draw some more lines just to give easy guidelines to remember. So with the legs, they'll go in, then out, then in. That's one easy way to remember the direction of the legs. The arms are going to go out, then straight. And then with the body's going to curve out and then curve out again. So there's 2 bumps that we have to focus on, but remember to stagger them back a bit. So that lower one has to go further back than the rib cage, and the leg should go diagonally downwards and then curve outwards. If you're bending your leg, then the leg will go forward, but it has to still curve outwards, because the leg's almost like a spring. It needs to bend with the weight. And with the arms there as well, the arms should go straight down and then outwards. So depending on what place you view the body, each direction has to change. So it's just remembering those sort of key points to the body. While I'm here as well, actually, if I draw the guideline of where the face is, I'll just mark in. So that center line should always be where the eye goes. And the same on that. And the eye should also be where the ear goes as well. So the ear should be about halfway back from the face in that little section there. The nose is about a third of the way down. And the same on the other side, that should be hitting where the ear is. and then the mouth would be halfway down from that line to the chin as well. So it's split into 3 segments that. So the nose will go into this top section where the eye is, and then the mouth will go into this line here. And that is it. That is how to draw the human body and the proportions to create that body. If you would like and subscribe to this video, that would be amazing. And if you can click the bell icon just to stay informed of any future videos, just in case I upload another one. The next video might be something along the lines of adding muscular sections to the body. But if you have any other suggestions of what things to create or draw, please let me know in the comments below and I will get around to it. So yeah, thank you for watching this and have a nice day. See you around.